9 days to the Presidential National Assembly elections, and the Supreme Court is insisting that its initial ruling restraining CBN from implementing the deadline for old Naira notes validity remains, just as the Apex Court has now adjourned the case till 22nd of February. Will the CBN comply now as against its earlier position? That's the question we're asking, as well as the preparation of police ahead of this election. Thank you for joining us on the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Remember to join live using the hashtag TVC Countdown 2023. Now, the Supreme Court 7-man panel led by Justice John Okoro has adjourned the case on the Naira swap policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria to Wednesday, the 22nd of February, for hearing of the consolidated suits by 10 states. Justice Okoro said the court should not lose sight of the case and its intention as it affects the suffering of Nigerians. Judiciary correspondent Celestina Area has details.
The Supreme Court on 8 February halted the federal government through the CBN or any of its financial institutions from stopping the use of the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes. This order is to subsist pending in hearing of the motion or notice filed by Kogi, Kaduna and Zamfara states challenging the decision of the CBN to stop the use of the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes by 10th February. The Supreme Court had made an order of interim injunction restraining the federal government through the Central Bank of Nigeria or the commercial banks from suspending or ending on 10th February 2023 the time frame within which the old version of the 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira denomination of the Naira may no longer be a legal tender. The court adjourned to 15th February. At the resumed sitting, 11 other states brought in applications to be joined in the suits. Lagos, Ondo, Ekiti, Katsina, Cross River, Ogun, Sokoto State, Kano, and Niger State sought to be joined as co-plaintiff, while Edo and Bayelsa State sought to be joined in the suit as respondents. The court admitted parties seeking to be joined as either co-plaintiff or respondents in the suit and ordered their existing plaintiffs, which is Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara State, to amend their processes to reflect the same. Counsel to the state government, Abdulhakeem Mustapha, drew the attention of the court to the non-compliance of the respondents to the orders of the court. The justices of the Apex Court noted that the order is to subsist pending the hearing of the motion or notice. The 7-member panel led by Justice John Okoro noted that what is most paramount is for the good of the nation without losing facts of the sufferings of the people. He asked the parties to maintain peace and they should return to court on 22nd February to consolidate all applications and hear the substantive matter.
Look, we are working towards solving this problem. It's a national problem, and we are working towards solving this problem. There aren't two sides. We are affected on both sides. We are trying to solve it. Please, I want you to know the government is not deliberately frustrating the plaintiffs. This is a problem that we are trying to solve. With a little time, it will be solved. Please, I beg you.
We made the point to the court that the court order of 8th of February restraining the defendant is still subsisting, and the court confirmed now, and the implication of that is that the old notes still remain as legal tender in this country. The policy or directive given by the CBN governor becomes inconsequential.
We are in court because Nigerians are suffering as a result of this CBN modeled up cashless versus currency redesign. That is why we are here today, and from the understanding we have from this court, the order made by these honorable justices still subsists up till Wednesday, when the matter will be heard.
The CBN had on 14th February announced that the old Naira notes are no longer legal tender. This move by the CBN is contrary to the orders given by the Supreme Court. The Lagos State government in a press release urged Lagosians to desist from rejecting the old Naira note or face prosecution. Celestina Area, TVC News, Abuja.
Let's now talk to Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Salma Jawondo, for more on this development. Thank you for joining us on the countdown. The Supreme Court is saying that its order, which temporarily barred the federal government and the CBN from enforcing its February 10 deadline, still stands. But the reality is, as at yesterday, the CBN did not honor that particular Supreme Court ruling. What has changed now with the Supreme Court adjournment?
Well, thank you for having me. The Supreme Court position has remained unchanged. Because when the order was granted last Wednesday, it was to last until determination of the application, that's application for interlocutory injunction. That means with the sitting of the court today, the order continues to be in effect. And it is a tragedy for our country that an individual representing a public institution can come boldly to say that the order made by a first court in this country will not operate. It is a tragedy. And it is one of the darkest days in the annals of history of this country, especially as relates to democracy and the rule of law. You cannot imagine the same person who went to court that through a proxy or surrogate, that the court should say that he could contest the APC primary without resigning as CBN governor. And when he was to be arrested by DSS, through proxy again, went and said, the court should grant him grant an order that should not be arrested or invited. Now, the federal government, the Attorney General of the Federation is sued, and the court make an order, the apex court for that matter, and an individual purporting to represent the institution of the government has the effrontery and the boldness to come and address the world and say that order will not take effect. It is a tragedy for this country. And it also shows the level of indiscipline. The level of indiscipline in this present government as constituted. And I think it got to this level because our president has not been forthcoming. The very day the man indicated interest to contest APC primary, that was the day the president had to have dismissed him, not terminate him or remove him, to have dismissed him. Because you have somebody managing the economy of the country and dabbling into politics to the extent that they bought about 600 vehicles, collected APC for. That's so something is wrong somewhere. And that's why if we even go far to this length, it is quite unfortunate. But as far as the Supreme Court is concerned, that is the farthest the Supreme Court can go for now. You remember that the counsel to the plaintiff states indicated that he has a notice of non-compliance. You know, the apex court, we always want to handle things with the highest expected level of maturity. It's a party should still abide by the order of the court. But I think it is quite unfortunate and it's a tragedy for this country.
And then, Senior Advocate, the reality on the ground right now, as at early this week, courts in Lagos, did not collect the owed money. We've also seen protests across the country reacting to what appears to be the defiance of the CBN and the scarcity of the Naira. But certain governors have started taking certain actions. Zamfara, Ogun, and Lagos state government threatening to prosecute any individual or business who is not taking this money. This appears to be the intervention that they have resorted to as an alternative in the face of CBN's refusal. Is this decision backed by law?
You see, when you have a situation where people who are in authority refuse to obey court order, you don't expect anything less than what we are seeing now. Confusion. Now, those governments, the state government that have said taking that action, is to preempt crisis, like it's happening in other states. Now, even in Lorry here, there were demonstrations, fire all over the police were drafted to scare away people. Banks are not opening. Now, that is the confusion. So the state government, I will commend them, those who have, even though you may say it's not back up with any law, but as government institutions, Supreme Court judgment or order is to be enforced by every authority and court below the Supreme Court that are subordinates of Supreme Court. So if the state government in some areas have now considered this is the best way we can prevent breakdown of law and order in our state, I don't think there's anything wrong. You may say two wrongs do not make it right, but in a situation where you expose Nigerians to suffering unimaginable and quite unwarranted sovereign, then there's nothing wrong for state governors who are the security officers of their respective states to take steps to preempt and prevent breakdown of law of their state. And the only way you can prevent breakdown is to make sure that the hold note coexists, as the Supreme Court has said, with the new note. If the banks are not even working, where will you get the notes?
Indeed.
Whether new or hold.
Former Attorney General of Kwara State and Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Salma Jawondo, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us on the program.
Thank you very much.